Roki Sasaki has his final list down to 3 teams: the Dodgers, the Padres, and the surprise Toronto Blue Jays. Finally, the Mariners make an addition. That and more ahead here at the Upside. And welcome into MLB Hot Stove Daily here at the Upside Sports Network. My name is Michael. Appreciate you guys joining us late on a Monday evening. Remember, every night we're going to break down all the latest headlines from across Major League Baseball. MLB's Hot Stove. You can find all your latest rumors here at the Upside. So make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe. Welcome in, everybody. We'll start with item number 1, the most important topic everybody is discussing across the entire sport. What's going on with Roki Sasaki? Well, he and his agent have let it be known that he's not going to go to the Giants, he's not going to go to the Cubs, not going to the Mets, not going to the Yankees, not going to the Rangers. Looks like we have a final 3 teams. It is the Los Angeles Dodgers, San Diego Padres, no surprise there either. The final team, though, is a team that met late with him. That's the Toronto Blue Jays. So 3 teams are the finalists there. We also get some trades. Some trades are going to be happening as a result of Roki Sasaki. But as far as the international bonus pool, we're seeing more players defect from their deals that they had already agreed to with the Los Angeles Dodgers. More movement around Roki is expected here as we get closer to the 15th. So that's item number 1. Where will he go? Who knows? I think the favorite is still the Dodgers. They have to be considered the favorite at this point. But you can't count out the Blue Jays. They're the surprise to me that they're still in it with the final 3 teams. So Padres, I think, have a really good chance. I still think it's anybody's race. But if I had to pick a favorite, I would still say the Dodgers are the favorite at this point. Welcome in, VPCZX. You were indeed the first one. Appreciate you joining us. Verlis, welcome back. Holly, saw you watched our video earlier. Appreciate that. Let's see here. Hank, welcome back. No matter what, there's always an upside. Love when you put that in there, Hank. Good evening to you guys. Thank you guys for joining us so late. Verlis, well, I missed my prediction, Roki to the Rangers. Well, yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. I still think there's an opportunity for the Rangers to add another starting pitcher. Jordan Montgomery might be the one that might make the most sense right now on the market for the Rangers to be able to acquire as far as a guy who can eat some innings in that rotation. They need somebody, as far as I'm concerned, if they want to add a proven closer at the back end. That way they can trade away John Gray, save the salary there, bring in a guy like Jordan Montgomery, proven track record, etc. Hopefully you have more success and a familiar start to the season with the Rangers. I think that would be the best case scenario for him and the Rangers at this point. But as far as the Roki Sasaki fallout here, it's going to cascade throughout the entire sport. This is just the first few tremors across the entire industry we're beginning to see. We saw Morel, one of the prospects that had agreed to a $900,000 bonus with the Dodgers a couple of days ago, say, I'm not going to wait around, and he took a $1.8 million bonus from the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now we get news today. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. It was another target anyway that had decided to flip his designation of where he wanted to sign. It was... Oh, where is he? Bear with me. It was Morel the other day. Solano was the signing for the Mariners. But who was the player that flipped? I must have skipped it. Let me see. MLB Trade Rumors have it. No. Who did I see in the tweets just a few minutes ago? It was an outfield prospect. There it is. Baseball America had it. It was the Dodgers were losing one of their January 15th signings. The White Sox get Orlando Patino, 6'2" outfielder, originally set to sign with LA when the signing period opened. So That's the second defection from the Dodgers that we've seen for Sasaki. And yes, while I say the Dodgers are the favorite for him, they still haven't put pen to paper yet, and they won't do so until after the 15th. So this is just more dominoes that are beginning to fall here. Morel was the first prospect to go to the Pirates, and now Patino goes to the White Sox here. So two dominoes of international free agents that have decided to take bonuses elsewhere to lock up their futures. Got to commend them for at least getting some certainty in their decision. Two teams that were not going to be players for Sasaki taking advantage of an opportunity where they see one. So we'll see where the rest of the commits for the Dodgers go. I'm sure there'll be plenty of them that will be defecting here. They can sign for as little as $10,000. That can be life-changing money for a lot of them. I'm reminded quite often of the story of Jairo Barras, one of the greatest international free agents that the Rangers signed way back when. Of course, it didn't work out, but it was highly touted, great signing, etc., etc. His family was living in a house, no electricity, no heat, no nothing, basically about the size of a shed that you'd have in your backyard. That's the kind of lifestyle some of these people are being impacted by. And so while Sasaki is going to get his money, I'm sure, I think he's going to do very well wherever he goes. The $10,000, even the bare minimum, would be life-changing money for these players who may never even reach single A status. They may never reach double A. They may never reach triple A. They may never make it to the big leagues or become a regular player or become a star. But that difference-making money of $10,000 can really help out that family. So these players are recognizing the opportunity here that, hey, just because I have a deal locked up with the Dodgers for, say, $25,000 doesn't seem like a whole lot in the grand scheme of things to the Dodgers, but that's a whole heck of a lot of money to the guy who's going to be getting that $25,000 signing bonus. So we might see several defections over the next couple of weeks. Keep your eyes peeled for not just from the Dodgers guys, but from other teams that might be trying to take advantage of other situations. For instance, the money that might not be as much money for the other international free agents because so much is going to be going to Sasaki. There might be a little bit less dollars going around to other players, but it might mean that more teams get better overall talent on the cheaper cost. So there's not a whole lot of money in international spending anyway. You're usually looking between 5.1 to 7.55 on the high end. And of course, you can trade for more, but you have to do so in $250,000 increments. And doing so makes it a little bit difficult to truly stack up any meaningful additions to your international bonus pool. Usually, we see a team get anywhere between 500 to 70 or 7,000, or excuse me, $750,000 bonuses. When Ohtani signed, that was when we saw 4 trades by the Angels to add another $1 million to their bonus pool. That was one of the more advanced trade seasons that a team had done with their international bonus pool money. And that's what we saw around the time Ohtani signed. So kind of keep that in mind as a roadmap for what could happen here with Roki Sasaki. Nando, welcome in, Cowboys Nation. Appreciate you joining us once again. Roki and Padres gear pitching at Petco in front of other Padres players pretty much seals the deal, right? I don't know. We'll see where he goes. He did have a meeting with the Padres. He did have a meeting with the Blue Jays a couple of days ago, I believe. But we'll see where he goes. I think any one of the 3 teams has a legitimate chance at him. I honestly, just because of how things looked a year ago, is kind of why I still think the Dodgers have to be considered the favorite there. That, and they're the favorite to win the World Series with or without Roki. So you got to kind of tip your hat just a little bit to the Dodgers for how they've been able to build their team and maintain this level of success over the last 10, 15 years now. And we'll see what the next chapter for the Dodgers holds. But they're going to have a great rotation with or without Roki Sasaki. Welcome in, Cowboys Nation. What is Sasaki playing with Blue Jays fans' emotions? He's going with you. Possibly. I think there's a good chance he could go to the Padres. For me, the 2 favorites are the Dodgers and the Padres. I think the Blue Jays are the clear wild card team in here. I'm a little bit surprised that they made it to the final stage. But we'll see if there's a legitimate reason he goes in there. Karinchak is a good right-handed pitcher. Okay. We'll check in on that one here in just a second. Nando, Roki is going to the Padres. Hope he's ready to be on a loser franchise. That's a little harsh, Nando. Padres are a pretty good franchise. They've done a nice job trying to get into really good situations and out of tougher situations. And, Seidler passing away, really tried to push the pedal down when he was towards the end of his life. Got to like the effort, which way, or as far as how they tried to compete in that division. Of course, the Dodgers are going to have a significantly higher payroll no matter what you do. You're in a smaller market. Sure, it's still California, but you don't have the Los Angeles pull. You have Dodgers fans all over the place. Padres a little bit less or so. So you have less money to really pull from. But overall, I think the Padres have done a really nice job to get where they are. They still need to do some more moves this offseason. I think that's the number one team I would expect to make the most moves between now and spring training because they mainly haven't done too much. The Mariners are another team that I'd put in that category, and that's where we'll go with item number 2. They finally make their first major league free agent acquisition, bringing in Donovan Solano on a 1-year, $3.5 million deal with the $1 million in performance bonuses as well. I like this signing for them. Gives them some depth in the middle infield spots. Gives them some depth at first and third base. I think he's a multi-positional player that you can use everywhere. Is he a great defender? No. But he's a really good professional hitter. That's really what he's best at. Reminds me a lot of Luis Ariz as far as how they play the game. But obviously Luis Ariz is significantly more of the Cadillac version of that. But a good get here for the Mariners. And if this is the type of free agents that they're going to have to deal with, that's a good starting salvo here as they try to add to that offense. If they're going to try and save this rotation and keep Castillo, they're going to have to make cheap, shrewd moves like this to improve their roster. So Solano, good first step into free agency. That leaves them with roughly $12 million with which they can still add to this roster. Maybe they spend another $5, $6, $7 million of it on Justin Turner. That's 2 pieces. They still need to add another piece after that. Maybe they convince somebody to take another $3, $4 million. Now, are any of these moves, lineup changing moves, aircraft carrier decisions? No, they're not. Honestly, they could do bigger things if they moved on from Castillo, but it sounds like they're going to try to do everything in their power to improve in free agency, and the rumors around Castillo might die down as a result. I respect it more than going to a stacked team. I would respect a player choosing to go the tougher route, choosing to go through to be the best. You got to beat the best, as Ric Flair would say. And I would like to see him, if he really wants to be the greatest, to constantly go up against his own countrymates. And if he wants to prove himself to be the best, that's what you really got to do there. So we'll see where he goes. Joe Ball, welcome in. Appreciate you joining us. Sean, welcome back. Lots of Dodgers fans here in Korea. I'd imagine so. They do play internationally quite a bit. Who's your KBO team? Chonju, I'm guessing that's how you pronounce it? Okay. Sean, what's next for the Cubs? Now that Sasaki isn't coming. Well, I think we're going to see some free agent starting pitcher rumors start to move around a little bit again. Flaherty could find a deal a little bit sooner now that Sasaki started to limit the options that he could go to. For instance, if the Mets were holding on to hope that they might be able to get him, or the Yankees, or any of the other teams that were still in this, Sasaki market, now they have no illusions about where they stand. We now have an idea of where he's going to go. I would guess more likely on the West Coast than to the Blue Jays, but we'll see. But for me, I would say the Cubs are going to see a little bit of loosening on the starting pitcher market. I like the addition of Colin Ray, $1 million deal, or 1 year, $5 million contract that they brought in, but there's still more work to do. I think their top priority is going to be in that bullpen, and we still haven't seen that market really shift like we thought it would after the trade for Devin Williams. And honestly, it's been pretty much quiet as far as relievers go. Just a few rumors as far as teams kicking the tires or having interest in Kirby Yates. But we're about 3.5, 4 weeks away from pitchers and catchers reporting. We will see some activity, and we've already started to see some of it since the beginning of the new year. I would expect a deal relatively soon for one of the big bats in free agency. Santander, Bregman, Alonso, 1, 2, or even all 3 of them. But as soon as we get some of those deals coming across the books, that's when the rest of the market will really get flowing, because there's not really any other top-level free agents that are left on the hitting side of things. On the pitching side of things, there's only a couple of top-end closers out there, couple of pitchers left that would qualify as a number 2, 3, 4 type of starter, and then you get into the bottom levels of free agency. Not a whole lot of great position players left either, not a whole lot of great bullpen pieces, but a lot of good depth options, a lot of good 7th, 8th inning type of relievers are still on the market. We have roughly 55-60% of the free agents that entered free agency still out there, and they will have to find a new team before spring training. Otherwise, they'll probably have to take non-roster invitee deals, or some of them may ultimately be forced to retire. Let's see. Use it to stream before they started blocking it, like the league. KC. Any news on Arenado or Bregman? Nothing new as of yet. I think the market is still waiting on Bregman to really decide where he wants to go as far as Nolan Arenado. As far as Bregman goes, we're getting some rumors about the Red Sox becoming a legitimate option there. The front office there with Craig Breslow taking over the reins there as far as some of the decision making. He's the one that's really kind of hesitant as far as giving the money to Alex Bregman, but he would be exactly what that lineup really needs. I get it. Bregman's numbers over the last couple of years in general are down slightly. He is predominantly helped out by the Crawford boxes. There is a bit of a saying anyway among Astros faithful about how it's always 2 rows, 3 rows deep into the Crawford boxes, the home runs that he does get. But over the second half of the year last year, over the final 4 months really, he was back to the old Alex Bregman of what we expect him to be. But I still don't think he's ever really reached the ceiling of which we thought he could be eventually. I'm not sure how much you can really bank on that ceiling at this point if you're hoping to acquire him. But I think the Red Sox would still be getting a far superior player and exactly what they need on that roster if they bring him in. The rumors I'm hearing is that Breslow is pushing back on giving another long-term deal because of how the deals for Yoshida have worked out. Some of the other international free agents that they brought in that ultimately didn't pan out. And then you also look at the one that they did bring in Trevor Story. That also is still on their books right now. So if they're able to get Bregman done, that would be a changing of the mindset for Craig Breslow. I still think the Tigers and Red Sox, to me, are neck and neck for his services. Blue Jays, to me, are kind of an also-ran in that category as well. Greg, welcome back. Grant, welcome in. Appreciate you joining us. If you guys are new here, be sure to hit that like and subscribe. We'll break down all the latest from MLB's Hot Stove every single night, so be sure to join us around 9, 10 o'clock every single evening. We'll break down every rumor, any trade discussion you want to talk about, send it in the chat. Let us know where you're watching from, who your favorite team is, and we'll be happy to keep you guys updated on all the latest from around Major League Baseball. Alrighty, Greg, as a Yankee fan, it seems like they have lost some of their aura. Some of their aura from the George Steinbrenner days, no argument there. Some of their aura from, say, 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago, I'd say they're about the same. They still are the quote-unquote evil empire when they have everything rolling the way it should. They do have one of the greatest players in the league in Aaron Judge. They have a pretty darn good rotation led by Garrett Cole, Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, Luis Gil, and others. I like their bullpen with Devin Williams back there. I still think that's more of a work in progress, though. And I still think they need one more impact bat. But the Yankees are certainly a very good team. Are they the George Steinbrenner Yankees who can go out there and sign or trade for whoever they want because they're the darn Yankees and because they said so? No, it ain't happening anymore for them. But we shall see. Grant, Jays will get him. As far as Bregman or Arenado, I doubt. As far as Sasaki, I would hope so if you're a Blue Jays fan. But I think your priority right now has to be on bringing in Vlad Guerrero Jr. and getting that extension done, because the sooner you get that done, I think your case to Alex Bregman to be able to bring him in gets so much stronger if they were able to do it. So, say they get, I want to keep saying Verlander. Say they get Vlad Guerrero on a 12-year, $440 million contract. Something crazy like that. Let's just say that's the contract they get him to. Well, now you have a long-term future there if you're Alex Bregman. Say now that Bo Bichette continues to play poorly this year, or not up to what we expect him to be, and he leaves in free agency. Well, you still got Vlad there. You still got a couple of pieces around for a year or two, and then you got a couple of prospects coming. But the biggest thing, you have so much money free that you can still go out there and add additions to this roster. We get an update on Jeff Hoffman as well. We'll get into that in just a moment, but they have that contract on their books as well. Whether they use him as a starter or a closer remains to be seen. But as far as the Jays go, I think a signing of Bregman would be aided by the addition of an extension for Guerrero first. So there was rumors anyway a couple of days ago about from Hector Gomez stating the Blue Jays were readying an offer for Vlad Guerrero that was far closer to what he was looking for as an extension. And so there may be hope there after all for the Blue Jays faithful. An offseason that really was looking very bleak, much like the Mariners this offseason. Finally, things are starting to move in their direction. and we'll see where the market goes for the rest of the teams in Major League Baseball. If the market prices come down a little bit, I think the Rangers would easily be able to make a case to their ownership as far as spending extra money on a closer, even though I think they'll have the money if they need to. So we'll see what the Rangers do. We'll see what other teams do as far as trying to bring in Bregman. But that's a good thing to kind of keep an eye on over the next few days. I'm baffled if you even considered Toronto. Bichette drama, Vlad drama, and a weak rotation, in my opinion, but who knows? I mean, it is Toronto. You're going to have a whole nation rooting for you. That's part of the advantage of playing in Canada. You are that country's player. You are their star you're their star attraction for which they can cheer for. And it's not just the city of Toronto you're playing for, it's the entire country. So kind of keep that in mind when you talk about baseball fans in just Toronto area. You're also talking about the entirety of Canada because that's their team. Grant, watching from Calgary, well, we appreciate you. That's kind of why I keep some of these headlines, or tags anyway, when I post the video, as kind of open to all kinds of different demographics as far as fans, because I'm very inclusive. I want as many fans of all different clubs out there to join our live. I appreciate smart baseball fans. I appreciate smart decisions in general. I can't not stand poor decision making, and you guys kind of know where I'm leading on that one. But with pretty much the other 29, 28 teams in the league, we get really good baseball decisions, and I believe having more of you guys in our chat makes us smarter for having a better, more diverse, fandom in our chat here to kind of keep ourselves honest and keep ourselves realistic about where our team stands. Joe, you're a Red Sox fan. Yankees will always have a lot of aura to historical. I agree with you on that one. The Yankees are the Yankees. Cruise Control, welcome back. Dominic Smith, they did sign him. I believe it was the Yankees, if I remember correctly. It was just on my board. Yep, Dom Smith, minor league deal, Yankees. This doesn't really do much for me. This is pure depth. I wouldn't be surprised if he misses opening day with the Yankees and ultimately leaves and opts out of his deal at some point if there are opt-outs. Think any upside. I think it's good protection if Goldschmidt is continuing to regress. And you never know. Dom Smith does have experience playing in New York with the Mets, so maybe he's already comfortable playing in that scenario, or in that city anyway, and so he's used to the pressure and may be able to stand up to it better than some of the other pieces they may be able to bring in. Welcome back, Roy. Nando, you know better. Padres only team that leaked the video. Sasaki did same at Blue Jays. I'm sure that he's done all kinds of different things with all kinds of different teams. Cruz, international bonus money on Wednesday will spark spending and more depth moves. You bet. We're going to see a flurry of activity between the 15th and the 17th, both in free agency and a bunch of different trades to kind of add or subtract from your international bonus pool, trying to add some additional pieces to your roster by using that international bonus pool money on some teams who may be looking to acquire some additional talent in that part of baseball. So we'll see. Roy, you say entire country, but how big is Canada? I'm guessing. I guess winning is not important if Padres and Jays still alive. He will sign with the Dodgers. I still think he will sign with the Dodgers. I'll agree there, but I think the Padres have a really good chance. And just that the Jays are still in it is a surprise. So you got to at least account for them in there. You can't just say, they're an also ran at this point. But I would say the Dodgers have been the favorite from the start of this entire process through even till now. So we'll see where he goes. But as far as you say the entire country, how big is Canada? As far as landmass, I believe it's significantly bigger than the U.S., but obviously a lot less people than the U.S. Pardon me. Need a drink. Still recovering anyway. Let's see here. Jose, welcome back. Appreciate you joining us once again. Is it crazy that we're sitting here on January 13th and Bregman and Alonso are still out there? Not too crazy. Got to keep in mind, every year there's always a couple of free agents that make it into January. Every year there's one or two moderate level free agents that'll make it to spring training. And then once we get to opening day, that's when we really start to see the crunch that some players sign. That's what we saw last year with Montgomery, Snell, Michael Lorenzen, and others. But we shall see. I think Bregman and Alonso will sign before spring training. Honestly, I think we're looking closer to this week as well. Cowboys Nation, you got him locked in. You got him locked in. He already picked his number. I'm sure. I'm sure you did his best. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and head over to X and just see if anything is happening right now, and then we'll get into some other discussions around Major League Baseball. One other bit of news, anyway, Bubba Thompson, those of you who are Rangers fans might remember him as one of the top prospects at one time for the Rangers, former first-round pick at one point. He was a two-sport athlete way back when he was in high school. Had a scholarship opportunity to play baseball and football at a college, and ultimately chose to sign a $2 million draft deal when he was drafted in the first round by the Rangers. Had a nice career anyway in the minor leagues. Eventually made it to the Rangers on the Major League roster. Best known for his base stealing ability, but never really hit enough to stay at the Major League level. Ended up going to the Cincinnati Reds, and now finds his way back to college. He'll be joining the South Alabama football team. Just another little bit of news around baseball. A player that you may have heard of, maybe not, but just another player eventually finding his way around the sports world. So we'll see, or we'll wish him luck anyway. Great guy, and just hope good things for him in his career if he decides football is his next step in life. Solano, that's kind of the number one thing here for the Mariners. That's why I put them in our description today. I want to focus on their offensive additions. They need to bring in some offensive pieces, and I like Solano. Solano's a decent addition for this lineup. Is he a Alex Bregman type player? No. Is he an Alonso type player? No. Is he an Arise? He's kind of a poor man's Luis Arise to me as far as the impact that he brings at the plate. So, could they use him in that lineup? Absolutely. Is he a complete difference maker in that lineup? No. They still have more work to do. But if they're determined to hold on to Luis Castillo and keep that rotation intact, this is the first step of a couple of moves they're going to have to do and get lucky with in order for this lineup to really work out. Let's see. Roy, Alonso is overrated. Mets have moved on from Alonso. Stern has no interest in re-signing Alonso. Honestly, I don't really believe that. I think Alonso does have interest there in the Mets, both in him going back there and from the Mets side as well. So I still think there's interest on both sides. I think the finances are really the issue there. Now, don't get me wrong. There's still interest from other teams as well. Giants, Angels, even the Blue Jays to some extent have at least kicked the tires on Pete Alonso. But make no mistake, having the market really dry up over the course of one weekend around the entire first base market, when you have Naylor get traded, Carlos Santana get signed, Christian Walker get signed, Paul Goldschmidt get signed, Nathaniel Lowe get traded, that dried up a lot of first base spots that Pete Alonso could have used as leverage in negotiations with the team he wants to go with, the New York Mets. And ultimately, because all those guys came off the board within like 3 days, that really left little negotiating room for Pete Alonso to really work with right now. He's really got to try to maximize the ones I just mentioned about the Giants, the Angels, the Blue Jays, etc. But honestly, if you're the Mets, you're Steve Cohen, you have the money, you know he wants to be there. At a certain point, I think they will get a deal done with him. As far as how much remains to be seen. Maybe he does take the 3-year deal with an opt-out after the first and second year. But we shall see. I do like the idea of Alonso hitting behind Juan Soto. I just don't see how that lineup really works quite as well without Pete Alonso. Where's the protection in that lineup if you move on from him? Maybe they go out there and trade for an impact bat. Maybe at the deadline, if Vlad isn't signed to an extension, then they go after him, or Kyle Tucker, or whoever else might be an impact bat they could put behind Juan Soto. But I think they need one more hitter in that lineup. Maybe there's a trade for Luis Robert. We did a trade idea the other day for that one. To me, that would be a smaller possibility, a smaller option to replace the production of Pete Alonso in that lineup. But he does ground into his fair amount of double plays, doesn't exactly spray the ball over the yard or hit for a high average. He is the most prolific power hitter, able to translate that power into a game anyway in Major League Baseball right now. And if he's able to continue to play at this level or at least improve or cut down on the strikeouts, that would be something that could really help out his longevity in the sport. But first base DH really has not been paid over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years now. And I know there's some reports out there that Boris is looking for a Prince Fielder-like deal. I can see where there are some comparisons to him, but honestly, if we're comparing the two, Prince Fielder was a clearly superior player to Pete Alonso. Prince Fielder got 9 for 214. Understandably, the market's obviously much bigger now, so maybe that's why Boris is using that as kind of a benchmark. But for me, there's no way that gets over $200 million. There's no way the contract gets into 9 years. I would think it's get very tricky to get anything over 5 years at this point for Alonso, but we will see where he goes. Roy, Cowboys Nation, go go find us a coach. When Sasaki signs with the Dodgers, make sure you show up. Well, we'll see. Sasaki is a great pitcher. I'm hoping he has a good rookie season and kind of settles in and becomes the ace we all expect him to be. K-Machine for sure. I hear a lot of position free agents might go back to the original teams for short opt-out deals. Local media is talking about the O's bringing Tony back. I mean, I don't really see the fit there for Santander. I think there is enough money out there for Santander to get the contract he was looking for, which was for $100 million or more, 5 years in length or more. I think there's plenty of interest in him from the Tigers and Blue Jays, where he should be able to get the deal he's looking for. So I don't think there'll be a reunion there. They already filled his spot really with Tony Allen, that's the Grizzlies guard or Celtics guard at one point anyway. With Tyler O'Neill, is who they used. 3 years, what was it, $49.5 million, basically half of what Santander was looking for at the beginning of free agency. I would be shocked if he ended up back in Baltimore. But I'll agree with your general sentiment there that a lot of original teams are going to get short-term deals with a lot of guys and just try to bring back their own guys if they still have holes on their roster. But we could see a little bit of changing of the guards as well. I'll be here when he's giving his press conference with you. Okay. Roki was working at Petco. Alrighty. Welcome back, Cobra, as well. Alright, let's see if there's anything else happening at the moment. Bunch of Roki stuff. I did not see if the Vikings game finally ended. Sadly, it didn't look like it was going my dad's way. He was he still is a big Vikings fan, and I know he was pulling for the Vikings there. Nothing new there. Steven, thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate that. Let's go ahead and answer this question here. With Stroman's vesting for 26, do you really think he will get moved? Enjoy listening every night. Thank you, Steven. I really do appreciate the support. Hats off to you, my friend, if I had a hat on anyway. But as far as the vesting option, do I think he gets moved? I do. I think the Yankees are just looking to offload that salary. That way they can be able to utilize that room and stay underneath the quote-unquote Cohen tax. I think that's the primary motivation for Stroman moving on. However, if you do move on from Stroman, that does increase the need for a starting pitcher to be brought in. Now, are they going to bring in somebody at Stroman's caliber as far as salary? Probably not. Will they bring in somebody at least of comparable skill level? You would hope so. I would say Stroman had a down year in general last year. I'd say Stroman is no longer the number 1, 2, or 3 starter in anybody's rotation. But in the right situation, if he goes somewhere and say, you give up a prospect or two for a team to take on that deal. Say the Marlins are looking to add a little bit more payroll so they don't get a grievance filed against them from the Players Association. They could easily bring on Stroman and say take on a low-level prospect or two from the Yankees to make things work out for them. I think that's very likely there. As far as other options for the Yankees to try to save on money, maybe a trade with the Angels like we posted the other day, get the Angels to take on the bad contracts of Stroman and DJ LeMahieu, attach a couple of your better prospects to those, and then you have a bunch of money with which to use at the trade deadline, bring in an impact bat, go after another starting pitcher, go after a really premium 8th inning option like a Tanner Scott. But their motivation right now is primarily based on them trying to stay out of that Steve Cohen tax. That's why they will likely try to move on from Marcus Stroman. Alrighty, appreciate you guys joining us tonight. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe. Follow us over on X at UpsideSN and on Facebook, Upside Sports Network. We'll keep you guys updated on all the latest from around Major League Baseball's hot stove season. So be sure to join us every night as we break down all the headlines. Welcome everybody in the chat. Be sure to send us that. Tell us where you're watching from, who your favorite team is if you are new here, and join us here at the Upside. We'll be live throughout the regular season as well. This train is not stopping. We're only going to keep on gaining steam. I appreciate those of you who watched our videos we posted earlier today. Some crazy news in football anyway. The Cowboys doing some really mystifying things with their head coach position. just the poor way in which they executed moving on from Mike McCarthy. We'll dig into that a little bit in our videos tomorrow. Some of you might be wondering who they could bring in. Well, they're missing out on Vrabel. He already signed. Belichick, they say they're interested. There are rumors they're interested in him. Steve Sarkisian has had his name come up. Ben Johnson will not interview with the Cowboys, I do not think. At least until, or they can't even be granted an interview until a little while away now, just because of how poorly they handled it. But the one name that already was discussed and had a meeting with Jerry Jones today, that's right, Deion Sanders. Prime had a discussion with Jerry Jones about becoming the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Now, there is no discussion as far as what that ultimately would look like, or if he would take the job, or anything along those lines. Could it mean Dak moves on and they go after Shedeur Sanders in the draft? All those kinds of things are up in the air, but that's something we'll discuss in some of the videos that we have for you posting tomorrow. So be sure to hit that like and subscribe, and we'll keep you guys updated on those searches as well. The other video we posted today, I know, Holly, you liked that one and commented on it. We appreciate that. Thank you very much. But that was about Roki Sasaki. Right when I saw the headline of the New York Yankees were officially out on Roki Sasaki, went ahead and made that quick video, posted it, got a few people to watch it already, and then boom, we get Giants are not going to be in there. Mets are not going to be in there. Then we get the Cubs, and all the other teams are not going to be in there. And then finally, the last one, unfortunately for me, the Texas Rangers were not going to be one of the finalists for his services. So the three finalists for Roki, just like off the top, we have the Los Angeles Dodgers, the San Diego Padres, and everybody's surprise, the Toronto Blue Jays. Holly, Jerry is cheap. He isn't going to pay Deion's buyout of $10 million. Cheap. He's not exactly cheap, I'll put it that way. Now, he is very loyal to his homegrown talent. He will pay for his own guys, but he's very frugal in the market, I will say, as far as adding outside talent. But he will certainly pay more to his own players, and not necessarily because he wants to, but because he negotiates them poorly, in my opinion. He still does a pretty decent job of running the Cowboys, but the decision to not add any major free agents this offseason was a mistake. Jerry is more worried about the league TV contracts versus the franchise. Well, I mean, he is an owner. He has to worry about those things. He worries about the overall value of his contract, or value of his investment in the team. His whole family is a part of the Dallas Cowboys, running it. And that's, if you watch Landman, the one scene he was in where he was kind of talking to John Hamm's character on his deathbed, was exactly, describing how he became the owner of the Dallas Cowboys and what he values. And I think he was speaking from experience there, and he did a really great job in that scene. I invite you guys to check it out, his scene in Landman. David, welcome in. Jerry ain't cheap. He gave Dak $60 million. True. And the one thing about it is, if you trade him, honestly, the cap hit doesn't hurt too bad next year if you trade Dak Prescott and try to get a draft pick in exchange for him. I'm just saying, there are teams out there that need some quarterbacks. There's only two really good ones in this draft. Dak's going to have some interest from other clubs if they're willing to move on from him, and he's willing to go to that team. Greg, love the show. With Aaron Judge is the premier power hitter in baseball, not Pete Alonso. To me, Pete Alonso has more raw power. That's kind of what I'm saying there, is he has the preeminent power in the game. Judge is right there with him, but I'd say Pete Alonso has more power itself. Now, I would say Judge is a better all-around player. I don't think that argument is particularly close. I think he's a better fielder. I think he's a better hitter for average. I think he's a better contact hitter. I think he's a better literally everything else. But I would say Pete Alonso, definitely a 99 on the quote-unquote Madden scale as far as power is concerned, to translating to on-field production in a game. For example, like Joey Gallo had all kinds of power, but could never figure out how to put it on the field. Pete Alonso's done a great job figuring out how to get it over the fence. He just hasn't figured out the rest of it, how to translate that power to a double off the wall, that kind of a thing. Now, Judge has been able to figure out the contact rates as well, and that's why he's a far better player, an MVP-level player. Pete Alonso's still a very good player, but not on the level of Aaron Judge. But I will say, as far as a natural power hitter in the game, Pete Alonso just beats him out by that much. Stanton has the most power, in your opinion? At this age, I don't think so. Stanton still has a ton of power. I think he's probably in the top 5 to 10 of the game right now. but I don't think Stanton's in the top 3 at this point. I think you're looking at Pete Alonso is probably, to me, number 1. Judge is in that 2 to 3 category. I want to say, I'm trying to think who else is a really good power hitter. I want to say Yordan Alvarez has to be in this discussion as well. Shohei Ohtani, even though he's a pitcher, has when he does hit, he certainly has found his home run stroke. Now, is it a pure power stroke, or is it a hey, I know how to get the swing, launch angle, those kinds of things type of hitter? And for me, I think that would knock him down a rung because I think he's just a better, more advanced hitter overall. That just some of his hits that he just squares up so well because he knows how to use that contact rate, gets over the fence, whereas Pete Alonso can shank a ball and still get it over the fence and hit a home run. Same thing with Aaron Judge. So I'm trying to think of who the other top power hitters in the game really are. But just to tell you, just kind of show you how the game has really changed. Most of those power hitters don't stick around. The ones that I just mentioned, like Joey Gallo, he's not even on a major league roster right now. I doubt he gets a major league deal. I think he probably gets a non-roster invitee deal and gets a minor league contract from somebody to begin spring training. I think it'd be a great fit for the Rangers in spring training. Give another left-handed competition there at first base. If he has a great spring training, you keep him on the roster. But I would say Yordan Alvarez is in that power discussion. Seager as a shortstop certainly would be in that discussion. Trying to think who else would be in there. David Ortiz back in the day probably has one of the greatest power hit swings in the game. Of course, Barry Bonds, all the great home run sluggers. But as far as current ones in the game, Yordan would have to be in that discussion for me. I feel like I'm leaving out a couple of guys, though. Adolis Garcia, when he's right, absolutely. But I wouldn't say he's in the top 5. I would say Adolis is more in the top 10 when he's right. I'd say Yordan is ahead of him. I'd say Alonso is ahead of him. I'd say Judge is ahead of him. Stanton probably still is ahead of Adolis. Mookie as a total player, absolutely. But as far as power, I'd rather have Alonso. You'd rather have Yordan Alvarez than Alonso. I would rather have him as an everyday player over Alonso as well. I'm just saying for power. Let's see here. Hank, he goes for the home run 90% of the time. Yes, that's kind of what I'm saying. That's why you have an all-around player versus other, I guess is the best way to put it. Welcome in, Master Vinman. Sarcastic. Appreciate you coming back. If you guys are new here, be sure to hit that like and subscribe. Let's go ahead and head over to some trades and do some interesting things over there. We discussed a few things with Roki Sasaki, and I kind of want to discuss how that might affect the rest of the market. So, with the international bonus pool money becoming available to be traded here in a couple of days, who are some names we could see be traded off of some rosters? Well, for instance, say you're a team like the Dodgers and you want to add some extra payroll to your club or some extra international bonus pool money and even save on some spots on or some money off of your international or your luxury tax payment, etc. Who could you trade off of your roster that might get you some international bonus pool money back that you would be willing to move on from? You're not going to trade any of your key pieces or anything like that. But maybe a piece like Dustin May, who's got 1 year left of control. Sure, he could be a great piece for you, as a number 5 starter. But if you get Sasaki, you're going to have Clayton Kershaw coming back. You still got Bobby Miller. You still got other options. Emmett Sheehan in the wings there. Moving on from Dustin May, who's got 1 year left, makes a lot of sense. He's only making $2.1 million, but could have some significant value to a team that's looking for a starter. So a team that is kind of strapped for cash, looking for a starting pitcher, could be a fit for Dustin May. Now, am I saying the Dodgers are looking to trade him? No, but I am saying if they're looking to acquire more room to be able to spend on Roki Sasaki or to be able to retain some of their international bonus pool money to keep some of their contracts that they had already agreed to, that could be a fit there. So let's say they go to the Brewers. They, to me, are still in need of another starting pitcher. So you trade away Dustin May. He goes to the Brewers there. You already had scouted each other quite fervently because they were discussing a Gavin Lux for Devin Williams trade. Ultimately, that never came to fruition. But what if they do Dustin May and get some bonus pool money back? What could they get back in return? So remember, you're getting bonus pool money back. So we're not going to, let's go ahead and say they get the $250,000. I'm going to say that's equivalent to like $6 million in salary that they're getting. I'm just doing this for purposes of the deal itself. Okay, so there's your international bonus pool money. That's your, in air quotes, what it is there for. What else could you get for round 2 off of this roster? I think you could get a guy like Baez would make some sense there as a prospect. Um, Piamps makes a lot of sense as a bullpen piece. Dodgers still need to do some there. So that would be a good bet there. Let's go ahead and do... Piamps makes a lot of sense, though. Let's do Piamps and say the Dodgers give up a little bit extra just to push this one over the finish line. They give up another controllable starter in Ben Kasparius to the Brewers as well. So there's your trade. Validate it, fair trade, post it. So again, this would be a international bonus pool trade that we could see on the 15th. A reliever and bonus pool money go to the Dodgers in exchange for Dustin May, who's got 1 year left and probably won't be pitching in that starting rotation for the Dodgers, who goes to the Brewers, who need some starting pitching and get a long-term starter as well. So these are the types of deals you're going to see a bunch of activity around here over the next couple of days. So I know the big names are all this, what the sexy thing in baseball is. Where's Roki Sasaki going to go? What about Alex Bregman? Those kinds of things. But these are the type of moves that really get the rest of the market going. Piamps could be a really good option for somebody in that 7th, 8th, 9th inning role. Dustin May could give the Brewers exactly what they need in that starting rotation. Spring training is right around the corner, Master Vinman. Let's see here. Try to catch up on a couple of these comments here. Schwarber and Harper. You take both of them over Alonso. I'm not saying as far as value. I'm saying, as far as a, pure, natural, just a straight up power hitter. Now, Schwarber does have a lot of power in that bat. He lost a lot of the contact rate that he was known for with the Cubs. He's more of a power, all or nothing type of guy. I love Bryce Harper's power. I'd probably put him in the top 10. Top 5 would be a little bit tough, but I would say easily top 10 for Bryce Harper. Kyle K's a ton too. Kyle does K a lot, but he does walk a lot as well. Robert is in the mix. I don't know about that one. The Cubs have strong farm system, but they have to trade. A few players if they can help to win now. Any trade ideas? Strong might be a little bit overstating their position. They just gave away a really good top end piece in Cam Smith. He quickly just to show you how the strength of the Cubs farm system is. That piece along with Paredes, Smith is now the #1 prospect in the Astros system. So they do have a good system. Is it a top 5 system? Not to me. But they're going to have to trade some more pieces if they really want to compete in 25. And honestly, I don't think they should. But they already made the decision. They already committed. So they're going to have to do it if they really want to go all out and win the division. Let alone make any noise once they get to October. Sarcastic, J-Rod plays in the wrong park. Doesn't have a good lineup for protection. Absolutely, but I like the trade for Randy Arozarena. He's not a complete player, but he does give them a little bit more offensive production, if you will, anyway, than what they had already been working with. They have some other pieces that are coming, but they're still a work in progress offensively. It's basically J-Rod and whatever else is working that day. They got a little bit of good production out of Luke Raley. I imagine they're looking for some improvement there. Cal Raleigh behind the plate is a really good catcher. First base has been a little bit of a black hole for them over the last couple of years. They tried Ty France. It didn't work. They tried Justin Turner. That was okay. He's now a free agent. But they need to bring in some more offensive talent there if you're a Mariners fan. But let us know in the chat what other trades we could do for you guys. We'll be live again tomorrow night. So be sure to join us. We'll be live a little bit earlier tomorrow. So kind of set your alarm. Probably around 8 o'clock in the evening was when we'll probably go live. Maybe a little bit earlier than that. I do get off of work a little bit earlier. So we try to do earlier lives on those days. If there's some big breaking news while I'm at work, I will try to post a short video about it. And then the second I get off, say Bregman signs with the Red Sox tomorrow, I will have a video out. And the second I get home, we will immediately be live as well. So be sure to hit that like and subscribe. Let's head over to X and see if anything else is happening at the moment before we go ahead and dip out for the evening. There we go. We got some TV news. The Reds and FanDuel Sports Network reach a new broadcast deal. That's a good thing for baseball. One other thing that we really need to discuss is the Rangers haven't solved their TV issues yet. They keep pushing it back and pushing it back. And while everybody keeps telling me, it'll be fine, they're just kind of ironing out all the details. Spring training's right around the corner, guys, and they don't have their TV deal ironed out. At a certain point, fans are going to have to know where to watch their games. And the Rangers have spent money this offseason, tells you they're comfortable with where this TV contract is going to end up and the money they'll receive from it. Because remember, they're losing, $110 million is what the original contract was worth with Bally. Last year it was worth about 90 because of the decrease through bankruptcy court. Now they got nothing. Now they're going to try to create their own network. At least that's what their speculation is. They'll have an over-the-air antenna option. They'll have a streaming digital option, and they'll have the traditional cable TV option as well. All three different baskets that they could use. But we'll see, where their TV deal ends up. But they originally said, hey, we'll release this around the winter meetings. That didn't happen. Hey, we'll release this between Christmas and New Year's. Didn't happen. Hey, we'll release this the first week of the new year. Hey, that didn't happen either. Hey, we'll release this next week. That didn't happen either. This is now January 13th. We're about a month away from pitchers and catchers reporting spring training kicking off, and yet we have no information as far as where the money or where the contract is for the Rangers TV. Now the Reds at least are moving the ball in the right direction, but you can attest to several other networks out there for all these local TV stations for all these other teams. The Masson deal you point out has been a shit show for them, but there needs to be some resolution there for the Rangers, especially for the fans before they get close or too close to spring training. Otherwise, you really risk losing some of the money that you're hoping to gain from those avenues. I mean, at a certain point, just announce the deal and iron out the issues that they have before you get to spring training. Welcome in D-Rod. 50 years ago, Seattle President Ballpark would have been the smallest in MLB, and the players were half the size as modern players. I'll put it this way. Seattle's ballpark now doesn't exactly lend itself to great power hitting. You have the marine air. You have all those kind of issues there as well. I'm not saying it's not a beautiful park, because it is. It's a beautiful area as well. They're not too far away from the coast. It's just a really nice. Seattle's just a really nice town. Period. In my opinion, it's just the way they, just the weather is always great there to me. I do love rainy days, but you get cooler temperatures than Texas, so I'm kind of envious of that. And every time they go to Seattle, you always see the greenest grass, and everybody's always out there, just la la la, flying a kite along the coast there, and it always looks nice, and a place that I always want to go visit at some point. But Seattle, the ballpark itself, a little bit tougher to hit home runs in. J-Rod's has the ability to do so. Rosarena has the ability to do so. Cal Raleigh has the ability to do so. Luke Raley as well. But outside of that, there's not really much power left in that lineup, and they need to add more pieces to that lineup outside of just Donovan Solano. And I think their hope right now is to be able to retain Luis Castillo and just try to make do with keep their rotation intact, the best rotation they've ever had, and just make do with the $15 million ownership really gave them to spend. And we'll see where it goes. Player time, welcome in. $1 billion deferred. MLB needs to expand baseball to Asia for revenue. We are watching a design play for a Dodgers dynasty. 100% Dodgers sign him. I would agree. I think the Dodgers are the team that are still the favorite for Roki Sasaki, but the three favorites, or the three finalists anyway for him, the Padres, the Dodgers, and then the surprise, the Toronto Blue Jays. Appreciate you guys joining us. Let's go ahead and just kind of recap all the news for everybody today before we head out. Roki Sasaki, the big news of the day, has kind of whittled his list down, let everybody know that it's down to 3 teams, Dodgers, Padres, and the Blue Jays. Teams are starting to make their decisions as far as what they're going to do with their international bonus pool money. Dodgers have now lost 2 international bonus pool free agents that they were going to have deals agreed to with and sign on the 15th. Pirates pry away a shortstop Morel, doubling his bonus that he was going to get. And then the White Sox poach away the outfielder anyway, 6'2" outfielder that they had agreement with the Dodgers as well. So other teams are making their move, trying to take advantage of these teams that are held up by the Sasaki sweepstakes, and trying to get the players on their roster that they may not have otherwise had access to if it wasn't for Roki Sasaki. So The other bit of news, the Mariners bring in Donovan Solano, their first major league addition that they've made to that roster this entire offseason. And then, of course, the Yankees are still looking to add some middle infield help. Looking at the bullpen, still looking to move on from Marcus Stroman. Red Sox and Alex Bregman are in a bit of a staring contest right now, as Craig Breslow is kind of bristling at the idea of spending the money on Alex Bregman, thinking it might be not the greatest investment for his team. But I think it'd be just what the doctor ordered for that Red Sox organization. I think it'd be a better signing than what Trevor Story was for them. I was mystified that they were the team that took advantage of the market kind of waiting on Trevor Story so long. I thought he would have gone somewhere else and another team would have been quote-unquote stuck with his deal. I thought Trevor Story was a decent option at the time. Was the worst of the free agent shortstop class that year, but was still a very good option at the time to sign. And ultimately, the deal did not work out for the Red Sox, and that's why I think they're a little bit gun shy to spend the money again. Now, they're the Red Sox. They have the money. It's just a matter of what Craig Breslow really wants to spend that money on. Remember, this is the same team that really envied the way the A's and Rays really built up their teams and won on a budget, and that's what they're trying to do again. They keep telling their fans they're going to go full throttle and make some major additions to this roster, but really haven't done so. Now's the time to kick the money into high gear. All right, let's head over to MLB Trade Rumors. Just one last check before we head out for the evening. See if anything else is going. Nothing really there. We'll double check X, see if anything else is happening there. And nothing else there. Alrighty. Appreciate you guys joining us. Again, if there's some breaking news tomorrow, be sure to join us live as quickly as possible. Probably around 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. Otherwise, our live will be around 8 tomorrow night. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Stay safe out there. Prayers for all of you affected by the colder temperatures, the wildfires out on the West Coast, the disasters that hit New Orleans and Las Vegas, and any other major catastrophe that's happening right now. Lots happening in January already of 2025. And I wish all you guys safe and happy life out there. Best wishes and prayers for those affected by those wildfires. It's quite a horrific scene out there, and hopefully they finish getting a hold on some of those wildfires. They've done a nice job, it sounds like, of containing some of those, but there's still several that are raging out there, so thoughts and prayers are with all of you. Stay safe out there. Appreciate y'all, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Have a good one, everybody.